Patrick Evans from Advanced Cloud Technologies, a very warm welcome to the Red Zone. Let's set the scene first of all. Give us a sense of the rapid growth of mobile in South Africa, and perhaps more importantly, why brands, in your opinion, need to be taking cognizance of this.
So firstly, let's talk to the mobile side of things. The mobile device is very different. It's the first device that we've got that is always on, always with you, always in use.
Always a pain in the neck for many people too, but
true,
important, yeah.
True. But it's changing the way that people engage, the way that people choose to buy, choose to travel, choose to engage with other people, and even the whole trust relationship has been reshaped by using mobile phones. I'll give you an example. Amazon has driven this whole thing, tell me whether you like what you've bought from me or not. So you end up with a situation where you're trusting what other people are saying who you've never met. So trust is shifting from your bank manager and doctors to people you've never met. And mobile is driving that, and the whole social sphere is driving that. So to look at mobile in isolation, I think, is a little bit wrong. One first has to say mobile is part of 4 dynamics that are happening concurrently. And unless you understand those 4 things, you don't necessarily get a sense of where mobile can go. So in the IT world today, we've got this nebulous thing referred to as cloud. And what is cloud? A lot of people don't understand what cloud is. And to some people it's a brand, but it's actually the next generation of computing where people move their IT under the control or to something else that they don't touch and feel and could be in another country, another continent. And they do all their IT processing there, they're just getting the results. So cloud is growing and expanding, and we've seen from what we use in this country, Amazon, probably one of the bigger, places like Salesforce, which drives sales, and that's important to the mobile side. We've seen Apple grow their cloud business. Google is probably the most well-known to all of us. This is something that's real, it's there, it's taking place right now. It's the future of where IT is going and where IT processing is going, and it's the future of software and how we'll access software.
Do you think that companies in this country are embracing this thinking with optimal effect?
At a mid-market level, yes. Enterprise is very reticent about cloud. So, but if you move to the consumer space, the consumer's using cloud every day because Facebook is in the cloud, okay? So the next big trend is social. For 10 years now, we've been seeing the effects of social. You've had Facebook, you've had search capability that has put information in the hands of people. What mobile has done as the third trend is enable people to access that information to use on a day-to-day basis. Now, business is important in this because business is thinking, well, as I use mobile, as I do social, I generate marketing information, which the industry is labeling big data, okay? But essentially, we're getting a hell of a lot of information that we can start learning from our customers what they're doing, what trends they're following, where they're shopping, where they are at any moment in time if need be.
But the problem that marketers tell me is that they have access to all this information, they don't know how to analyze and utilize it.
Absolutely. And what you're finding here is that IT generally for a very long time is focused on the back office. They spend very little time actually thinking about how do we take all this data we've got and give it back to marketing, okay? And as a result, marketing now is saying, well, I'm going to stop dealing with IT. I'm going to go off and do my own thing. And that's where cloud comes into play. There are great solutions in the cloud. Let me put a mobile strategy in place. Let me start gathering information. And let me start interpreting what I'm getting and start shaping my marketing strategy based on that.
Does this mean that in the relationship between marketing and IT, that relationship has become redundant or need it be strengthened?
It needs to be strengthened, and one needs to start thinking about how to do that.
And there's often a trust issue there, and they just talk past each other.
Absolutely.
So how do you seed the right conversation then?
Well, the problem you've got right now is if you look at a mobile phone, and I'm not going to switch mine on, but this device, most people see this device as firstly as a means to make a phone call. Then they might have a couple of apps on it to go and do things, okay? And so your IT director, let's put him as a senior person, his thought process is he doesn't really understand what this device can bring to the business. The marketing guy is not in too different a position either. So you actually need somebody that bridges this gap. That whole job is about thinking about how can I take this device, because it's very different. A marketing person will look at this device as the fourth screen. So the first screen is a movie screen, okay? TV, computer, the fourth screen. But this fourth screen has different characteristics. Firstly, it's got a very small format. Secondly, it's always on, always available, and people don't want to be bombarded with advertising on this device. So how do you start utilizing this device from your customer point of view, but channeling business through it to get to them? And there are various ways to look at it. I think one of the nicest ways I've seen in South Africa is a young company called Blazing Chili. It's a Cape Town-based company where a lot of innovation's coming out of. They've developed a product called Zing. And their whole premise is saying that every transaction starts with a conversation. Now you can have this conversation via this device, whether it be, and there's a term that's been coined called phablet. I'm not exactly comfortable with the term, but it's a phone and a tablet, and they've grouped the two together. But if you've got this device that you do carry with you all the time and can have a two-way conversation with somebody, this device enables you to do it. And
But what is the nature of that conversation then?
Let's say you're the managing director of a company. Right now, you'd lack the ability to talk to your customer. You have to go through marketing, research, the results are filtered, and more often than not, you're told what people think you want to hear. Now I can communicate with my customer. As long as I have his cell phone number, I can reach out to him. I can ask him, tell him what my strategy is and ask him what he thinks about it. You can gamify that with putting some stuff in it that if he gives you a response, he gets a coupon or he gets some kind of special deal when he comes into your store, okay? So you start having this conversation with your customer. And it's another means of getting input. It's not to replace what went beforehand, but it's to augment what you got beforehand. So if you start expanding this out, and you can start creating almost a WhatsApp on steroids, but saying, I'm going to have a conversation two-way. It's an auditable conversation, so you store it. But more importantly, you can create zones that are one-to-many conversations to say, if I'm a retailer, this is what I'm doing for winter. Here are some recipes that you might want to use, or anything else like that that helps create a better customer experience. At the same time, you can pick up if people walk into a store in Cape Town and say, as they walk in, be aware that we've got specials on this, this, and this in the store right now. What do you think about that?
All of this is predicated on that brand being able to deliver on that conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's where things fall down.
That's where these things fall down. Now, you look at South Africa and look at Africa. What is our difference? Very few people, relatively, have got a smartphone. So the applications, the mobile applications, and therefore one's mobile strategy in this continent needs to cater for feature phones as well as smartphones. And that's where most overseas applications grind to a halt. So when you're building a strategy for Africa or other emerging nations, you've got to think about what is the common device. And in South Africa, it's a Samsung E250. It's a very basic phone, but it's got some kind of data capability. So that's what I think is really great about this company, is they built an application, a mobile app that spans all of those devices. It's for Africa. And it takes data compression into account, so it doesn't consume all the bandwidth. So it's cheap to use, cheap to deliver, and it's widely deployable.
Patrick Evans, we're going to have to invite you back at some point. Fascinating insight from Advanced Cloud Technologies. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.